This interview with Rob Rubendall is edited from a group interview conducted on November 5th, 2007.
But the one thing I knew I would never do is teach. I said, I'll never be in the front of that classroom. I just can't stand the way this system works. I got to get out and really experience the real world, is what I was saying to myself, I think. Well, within a few months, I met this fellow. I actually had known him most of my life, but he had gone to a workshop in New York that was put on by some Outward Bound folks. This was 1975, and Outward Bound at the time was really trying to integrate the school-based programs into, the
wilderness.
Yeah, the wilderness field school-based programs into the regular schools and into therapeutic settings. And so they had put on a program for school administrators to show them how to integrate Outward Bound into a public school system. And this guy was very good at raising money, so he had money to start this project. And he hired a bunch of people from North Carolina, Outward Bound at the time, and they had one position left, and it was sort of the chief cook and bottle washer, logistics person. You'd learn how to drive the bus, clean the gear, get the kids ready to go out on their solos or whatever. So I said, well, that sounds pretty interesting. I'll come do it. And he said, here's the deal. I'm going to send you out in the field with kids that aren't achieving what they should. They have all the potential, but they're just underachievers. And if you bring them back the same way, we'll pay you $5 an hour. If you bring them back better, we'll pay you $7 an hour. And I said, well, that sounds like a deal. Sounds like fun. And I'd grown up hunting and fishing and trapping and camping, and for me this was just fun. So I started the program, and I did the bus driving, and I did the gear washing, and I did all the logistical stuff for a couple of months, and then they made me an instructor. Within a year, I was running the program pretty much. And about halfway through, I had one of the reflective moments, and I said, I really love this, and I think I'm doing education. At least I know students are learning. And for me, what it was all about was these kids that were not being successful in the classroom. For whatever reason, the administration was recognizing that they had potential and that they just needed some sort of a jump start experience to really feel comfortable with who they were and what their potential was. And they had enough foresight to say that an Outward Bound type program for 5 or 10 days would give them the self-confidence and the self-esteem that they needed to really realize their potential and go on. And they did. They tended to perform much more up to capability after that point. So I just realized this was a way to reach people and a way to educate that I had never seen before. And yet it wasn't just going out in the woods and playing around, but there was this reflective piece, this sort of group supported opportunity to sort of bare your soul and really look at yourself and answer some questions about yourself that you couldn't get any other way. And that's what made it, for me, experiential. One of the biggest challenges for me was both a challenge and a real sort of adventure. In my 20s, as I became really interested in teaching all kinds of different people and using this methodology as a way to reach people, I had to really find a way to sustain myself. I wasn't with a particular organization. I created a business here and there, or worked on my own, and a lot of it was simply just going around knocking on people's doors and convincing them that, let me work with your kids. I've got a new type of program that I think they'll really be stimulated by. And that would work for 3 months here, 3 months there, but then I'm back in my car and moving across the country and trying to find another place to do it. And as I went on and actually began to administer programs and have staff working for me, I see that one of the big failings of our field is that for a lot of young people, it's really hard to make a living and sustain yourself and really stay in the field. And a lot of people do sacrifice quite a bit to make it happen, but they do it because I think they're passionate about what they're doing, and they like to see the impact that it has on other folks. So there's a lot more potential there than you realize There's an interesting transition in our field was I think when I heard everyone relating their stories about how they get into the field, what got them excited, we all were just sort of swept up in the power of experience itself. And, you know, knew that there was something inherently good about it and wanted as many people as possible to partake in it and be creative with new ideas of getting people to interact and create challenges. But it took some time, I think, until we really ourselves as a field reflected on, well, what are we doing and why does it work?
That's right.
And how do we be intentional about people learning from what we're doing as opposed to just perhaps letting it happen? Because I think the sort of glitter of that wore off pretty quickly, and when people had some experiences and you know, needed to go beyond that, our field was challenged to make those transitions that you're talking about. I remember one kid years ago on a program that we used to run where there was a slab, a big friction slab of rock that we used as our climbing site. And the truth of the matter is you could probably relatively safely climb it without a rope, but it was, you know, high enough off the ground that we used it as a technical activity. And I had a crew of about 8 or 10 kids that, you know, were a little bit emotionally disturbed and had some problems adjusting to the stage in life they were at. And, you know, all but one of them made this climb, which was relatively easy. There were some harder climbs after it. But one kid who had been very, very reluctant to engage at all with the crew the entire time, just sat there very quietly and very stoically and just refused to even, you know, tie into the rope and try it. So later on that evening, and of course, you know, it was challenged by choice. I wasn't pressuring him or anything. I said, you know, if that's your choice, that's fine. We're sitting around having dinner or getting dinner ready, and I noticed he was gone. And this is back when you could go out with, you know, 8 or 10 kids and be the only instructor. You had nobody with you. So I'm watching the kids do their cooking and working with the stoves, and yet this kid is missing. So I figured I got to go find him. So I wandered around a little bit, and sure enough, I go down to the rock slab that we had worked at early in the afternoon, and there was the kid at the very top of the rock slab, barefoot, making the climb. And I just sat there very calmly and said, "John, how's it going up there? You're looking pretty good. I'd like you to, you know, very carefully work your way back down to the ground." And he did. He came down safely, and he turned around and he just gave me a great big smile and gave me a big hug. And from that point on, the kid was absolutely at the forefront of the group and, you know, ready to take on any challenge and be positive and engage. And he said, "I needed to do that on my own." He said, "I just really couldn't do that with the pressure of everybody there watching me and expecting something out of me that I didn't think I had, but I knew I could do it, and I had to prove it to myself." And it's like that just, you know, I don't know that we're responsible for, except that perhaps we create the opportunity for people to really find out that they can do something that they didn't think they could.
Well, that is the deal. That's funny.
I know we talked about this a little bit at we had a leadership summit last June out in Estes Park, and we asked the people who attended, you know, what is it that you get out of AEE and experiential education and the conferences? And I think a lot of us just felt like it was a chance to get back together with our tribes. That in our work, we may have several, or sometimes more than several colleagues around us who understand what we do and who we work with, but when you come to an AE conference, it just, to me, always feels like there's a community of like-minded folks who you can speak their language. And in speaking their language and learning and listening to what it is that they're doing and how they're pushing the envelope in one direction or another and using experiential education, it helps rejuvenate me and give me more energy and enthusiasm to continue to do the work in that particular corner of the arena that I'm in. So to me, it's a well. You know, I come back to get a drink of that pure water periodically, once a year, twice a year, and use it to sustain me while I'm out.